Welcome everyone, I'm Mr. Eves, and today we're going to be talking about 4.3 multiplying decimals. Now, in order for us to start off, let's talk about our objective before. So before, we multiplied decimals by whole numbers. And we did that just in 4.1, so it's not too far off our mind. Remember, we multiply like normal and then count how many numbers are behind the decimal. And it's no different with our objective today to multiply decimals by decimals. So let's go ahead and read key concepts, multiplying decimals. Multiplying decimals as you do whole numbers, so it's the same process. Then place the decimal point. The number of decimal places in the product is the total number of decimal places in the factor. So what that means is if we have two numbers behind the decimal, that's two places that we're going to have to move it, just like we did with whole numbers. But now we have another number that has a decimal that has one place, and so we got to add those two together, and that gives us a total of 3 places that we're going to have to move our decimal. So multiplying decimals is different than adding and subtracting decimals because we don't have to line them up when we multiply. Only on addition and subtraction is when we line up the decimals. Now let's go ahead and start off on today's assignment. And so we're going to be on page 183, and we're going to do problems 6 through 12, and then we're going to be on page 184, continuing on from 13 to 22. Then we're going to skip and do 39 to 40, and then go to page 185 and do 50 through 53. That's the review. And so to start off, let's go ahead and have 6, 7, and 8 come on up. And so we're going to place a decimal point. It says copy the answer and place the decimal point in the correct location. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that answer. So I have 0, 1, 0, 2. Now I'm going to count how many spaces is it behind, how many numbers are behind the decimal in this first number. We have 1, 2 total. So 2 right there, and then 1 over here, so a total of 3. Now I'm going to start at the far right of the number, so at the end of the number, and I'm going to count back to the left 3 spots. Now once you've moved it 3 spots, that's where you're going to put your decimal, and I want you to rewrite it so it looks nice and neat. So we have 0.102. And so that's how you're going to do it. Number 7, we copy down the number and we count how many are behind it, which is 1, 2 on the first, and 1 on the second, so a total of 3. Start at the far left, far right, and we're going to move it to the left 3 spots. That gives us 60.532. Alright, go ahead and try number 8 on your own. And as you're doing that, I'm going to set up number 13, 14, and 15. Well, you should have number 8 answered by now, and so let's go ahead and move on to 13, 14, and 15. So this is going to help us through 13 through 22. It says multiplying decimals, find the product. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply these 2 decimals, and in order for us to set up this, the first thing I want you to realize is we don't need the 0 in front when we're multiplying, so I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to write it as 0.3 times 0.6. Now, remember, all we have to do is figure out how many numbers are behind the decimal. So there's 1 there and 1 there, so that's a total of 2. And then we forget about our decimal and go 3 times 6 is 18. And I'm going to move it over 2 spots. So my answer is 0.18. See how simple that is? Let's go ahead and do number 14 together. So 14, I'm going to go ahead and set it up as 1.1 times 0.4. I got rid of the 0 because I don't need it anymore. And that'll really simplify the process. So how many spots do I have behind it? I have 2 total. 1, 2. So a total of 2. And I write it off to the side just to give me a little heads up. Then I forget about the decimal and multiply like normal. Well, 11 times 4 is 44. And then I'm going to move it over 2 spots. So my answer is 44 hundredths. Now, number 15, if we set it up, we're going to notice that we're not going to have enough room because we're multiplying by 2 digits. And so in order for me to show this a little bit better, I'm actually going to go onto a new page and set it up. So we have it set up here, but I really don't want to have to do it this way. I want to go back to the lattice method, and we talked a little bit about this the other day, and I want to go over it once again. So the lattice method is we set up our box. So we have a big rectangle, and depending on how many spaces we have, so there's 4 numbers, so I'm going to have 4 spaces for the 4 numbers on top and 2 spaces on the side for the 2 numbers on the bottom. So I set that up. There's my numbers, and if you notice, I put the decimal on the lines because the decimals don't need their own boxes. They're just there to help us know how many numbers are behind it. And so to start off, I have 7, and I'm going to be timesing 7 by every number that's on the top. And so the first one I go is 7 times 2, which is 14. I'm going to put the 4 there in the bottom of the bottom triangle, and then I'm going to put the 1 in the top triangle. Once I have that box filled, I go to the next one, and I have 7 times 5, which is 35, 5 in the bottom, 3 in the top triangle. And I continue on. 7 times 0 is 0 and 0. 7 times 3 is 21, so I put up 1 and the 2. Now that I've finished the bottom, I'm going to go to the top, and I have 4. So 4 times 2 is 8, so I put 8 there and a 0 on top because there's nothing in the tens place. Then I go 5 times 4, which is 20, and I'm going to put the 0 on the bottom and the 2 on the top. 4 times 0 is 0. 3 times 4 is 12. 2 on bottom, 1 on top. Now that I have this, I'm going to be able to add them on the diagonal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this direction. So everything that's on the diagonal, you notice that I set it up that way. It's going to be really, really simple. So let's go ahead and start off. Well, 4 plus nothing is just going to be 4. Then I have 5 plus 1 is 6 plus 8 is 14. So I have the 4 there, and then I'm going to carry it over to the next box, and instead of putting it on the very top, I'm just going to put it on the line below. So now I have 1 that I carried over. 1 plus 3 is 4. Plus 0, still 4. So we have 4. Don't have to carry anything because we didn't have anything left over. Then I have 1 plus 0 plus 2, which is 3. Then I have 2 plus 2 plus 0, which is 4. And then 1 plus nothing is 1. Now that I have this, I'm going to count my decimals. So I have how many spots behind the decimal? On the top I have 1, 2, 3. And on the bottom I have 1, so a total of 4. So 4 total spots is how many I'm going to have to move. So I start at the far left, and I'm going to move it 4 spots. Now I'm going to rewrite this number so it looks like a decent decimal. So I put my decimal point there, but I'm going to rewrite it as 14.3444. So, or you could say 14 and 3,444 10,000s. And that's how you do the lattice method. It's really simple, and I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to go on to my website, mreves.com, and go on to the Help tab and put your questions up there. If you need to check out the video, it's on the Daily Video tab. I look forward to hearing from you. I hope you have a great day.